and I mean perfect transition, into the Chaz Lanier power stats.
Break it
because
down.
you added a lot of context to what I'm about to present right now. Chaz Lanier, when we talk about an elite skill set, obviously he's got some lesser skill sets that he flashed in college and can work on in the NBA. However, the man just shoots effing threes and makes effing threes, both 2 years ago at North Florida and last year at Tennessee. So, JB, if you want to put up the first one, Chaz Lanier in college, and I can break that down for everybody. 2023-2024 at North Florida, he averaged almost 20 points a game on 44% from behind the arc, on 7.5 attempts per game, and 13.1 field goal attempts per game. So the vast majority of his attempts were three-pointers, and he made them at an insane clip.
That's incredible.
That's incredible. However, you could say before last year, it was North Florida. You didn't have to go up against, though, the vaunted SEC defenses. However, in his 1 year at Tennessee, albeit as a super senior, which matters a little bit, but this is still very impressive, he averaged 18 points a game on 39.5% from behind the arc, on in very high volume, 8.2 attempts per game, and like at North Florida, the vast majority of his attempts were from behind the arc because he only averaged, well, not only, but relative to his three-point attempts, 14.8 field goal attempts per game. But this is where it goes even geekier and more in-depth, and these stats are courtesy of Bleacher Report. He was second in the nation in points per game scoring off of screens, and he was fourth in the nation in jump shot points per game. Those are some really geeky elite numbers that really highlight what he can bring. We all know that he can move off the ball. If you set a good screen for him, he will get open. He's got a quick release, and he will make it. And also, just obviously jump shots include threes. The fact that he can knock down jumpers and threes at a consistent level, that is absolutely huge. However, I'm not done. Chaz Lanier in college continued. These are where it gets even more geeky, and these stats are courtesy of Hoops Hype.
Ooh.
He was 64.2% from behind the arc.
That's the Cade Cunningham stat. Yes. Give it to me.
Yes, on unguarded catch and shoot threes. That's the 95th percentile in college basketball. And obviously, if he can get good screens and be wide open, what does that tell you? The man was absolutely dead-eye. But this next grouping highlights that his elite skill is being a three-point marksman, but he does other things. 1.231 points per possession in isolation, which is the 94th percentile in college basketball. 1.111 points per possession in transition, which is the 82nd percentile, and that to me highlights his underrated athleticism because he has it. The length and athleticism. He can finish in transition. He can get up there a little bit and dunk the basketball. Love to see that. And also 1.097 points per possession in the half court, which isn't surprising at all. 84th percentile. And the last one, which highlights his ability to move without the ball, find the open spot, and whether it's an easy layup, whether it's a three-pointer, 1.382 points per possession on cuts, which is the 91st percentile in all of college basketball, or was last year. These numbers, man, they really put something quantifiable to what you see when you watch him. And all of this makes me even more excited about him than before.
You know what? Because he's a guy who, at least at the collegiate level, you can say is elite at movement scoring.
Yes.
At all three freaking levels. Yes. I don't think people understand the prospect that you're getting, the high potential that you have with this guy, because I see King Yehuda. I respect you. He says you dudes need to be drug tested. I don't know how many here at Woodward Sport passed that. I don't know, but listen, talking about a second round pick like he's going to be all
What kind of drugs are we testing?
Huh?
What kind of drugs are we testing?
Listen, if it's hopium, I'm not passing. I can definitely tell you that one, man, because I am big on this pick right here. I am. I like the potential of it. But he says, talking about a second round pick like he's going to be all NBA. Dude is a role player, and that about it. Nothing more, nothing less. That's what actually excites me about the pick. If you can find a role player in the second round, that's the thing. That's the whole point of this. And he has an elite skill set here. That's why I'm so glad that you went through the numbers, because it's not just that he can shoot. It's that he can shoot no matter what the situation is. Hand in his face, hand out in his face. Right up on the line, back off the line. You know what? Off the pick, off the pop, as a roller. I've seen my man dribble handoff, relocate, catch the ball, and just shoot. And it's like buckets. I'm sorry. That does get me a little bit excited because when you realize how good of a shooter he is in open space, when you realize how good of a shooter he is off movement and relocation, that's when you should get excited. Because how many times in the playoffs, when some of our players, their legs were dead, we saw guys open, but the shots weren't dropping. I do look forward to a guy like this being able to come in and being able to contribute from that standpoint. And if he can defend, I do believe that that's going to give him a little bit more of an opportunity to effectively have some chances to hit more threes. And I know that dude, Justin, you pull some stats. I know Ryan's working on some stats too to try and at least see some recent comparisons. Two collegiate players have had similar success from a shooting standpoint, as well as for me. I know that he was playing this Dalton Connect role, and I know that Dalton Connect last year was a first-round draft pick and a draft that a lot of people said was weak. This year's draft was skewed by the amount of international players, man, that were taken in that first round and how they emphasized defensive selections. And so what did that do? That actually had like 10 to 15 guys with first-round grades drop to the second round. Chaz Lanier is not a scrub. And when you look at who he was for Tennessee this year versus everything I liked about Dalton Connect last year, I covered Dalton Connect in person during March Madness. Like, when you look at Chaz Lanier, there's a whole lot to like here about this prospect who played at the same school and had some great success doing it. What up, though, Justin?
No doubt. And there's only a minuscule differences between Dalton Connect stats from his time at Tennessee and Chaz Lanier's time at Tennessee. Yes, Dalton Connect had more rebounds, and 2 more points per game, but the shooting splits are almost identical. They both shot just below 40% from 3 last year, 39.5. They both shot above 45% field goal percentage. Dalton Connect was at 50%, but he wasn't asked to carry the ball in a not a facilitator, but more in an iso ball role, where he had a lot of plays set with him with Ziegler. Ziegler kind of took a little step back this year offensively, and Chaz Lanier kind of filled more of that role for Tennessee, which is why they weren't as effective as they were last year. But I really love the fact that their stats are almost identical, and you're getting a guy who is more athletic than Dalton Connect, is better defensively than Dalton Connect, and that's where I like the idea that he's going to be a better pro than Dalton Connect, because Dalton Connect is limited. Dalton Connect can't guard. He is a pylon out there for the Lakers. There's a reason why he barely plays in the playoffs. And that's where Chaz Lanier, he's probably just going to be a role player, but he's going to be a very good role player. He's going to come off the bench. He's going to knock down some threes. He's going to play some good defense. And that's all you can ask for a second-round pick, because like you said, we were looking for someone who had an elite trait that we could use on this Pistons team to give us versatility. And that's what they did. They got a guy who could shoot threes at an elite clip and then guard 1 through 3 at a pretty high rate. You want to see him get better. You talked about it. His basketball IQ lacks sometimes where he gets lost in the sauce. But he has the ability and the tools to become a better defender. And when you put him with guys like a Sir Thompson, Ron Holland, who are great defenders, it's only going to help him. It's only going to make him better, and it's only going to support him to grow as a defender.
Because you're right. Because in Tennessee, he's going to be drawing the premier matchups on both ends of the court. In the NBA, he's not. His usage defensively is going to go way down compared to what he was in Tennessee. And it would be good on the Pistons to make sure they hide him that way. Why? So that he gets the best opportunity to have his opportunities to learn, make some mistakes, as well as see from the bench. And when you have a guy like this, I do believe that a guy like him who shoots the ball at a 40% plus clip, I believe that you're going to get a whole lot more positive out of his minutes, even if it's a limited like 10 to 13 minutes per game. I believe he's the type of player who you can count on, even as a rookie, giving him 3, 4, 5 shot attempts from behind the arc in his moments and minutes in the game. As long as this guy is going out there and putting in the work and he's not a pylon on defense, I think that Chaz Lanier is going to be a role player. And that, to me, is what makes it so different. I see Detroit Gunny 76 before I throw it back over to you guys. They got some more stat comparisons.